Welcome to MindBody TV. Hello, hello. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for being here. For everyone who's here live, hello to everyone who's listening to the recording. I am Dr. Kim Duramo. I am going to be sharing today on a really, I think, kind of universal topic that I know for me has come up with like a ton of people over the last week, over the last year, but it's like hot right now. And so you probably be able to relate with this very directly. So we'll jump in just a sec here. I want to say thank you for joining me live, and share, please, where are you tuning in from? When did you find my work? How is this work resonating with you? What's coming up in your life? I want to connect and have a touch in on that. For those of you who don't know me, I am a physician. I was originally trained in trauma and critical care, and I've completely revamped my practice to be solely around mind-body medicine, self-healing, and helping people with chronic disease, chronic pain, autoimmune illness, anxiety, depression, a lot of these things that kind of like it's no man's land in the medical field, because like, what do we even do with you? What's even going on? Why do you have this disease in the first place? But when we approach this from a deeper vantage point, it's very easy to understand, why is the body doing this? Why does it seem to be breaking down in 20 different ways? They're actually all connected. And it's usually one thing that's the nidus for all of those different things, all of those different symptoms, all of those different fallouts in health. And it can be really, really easy to approach when we understand that our body is vibration. We are first and foremost energy, secondarily physical. And so we don't ignore the physical, but we've got to look at what is going on in your consciousness, what is going on vibrationally, energetically, your perspectives, your beliefs, how you perceive the world and your reality. Because that's either going to have you, I'm attacking life and getting after it, and you're living in fight or flight, which creates like every disease known to man, chronically being in fight or flight. Or we approach it from, why is this happening for me? Let me receive life. Let me be in union with life. Let me flow with life, and everything, not only in your body, but in all of your circumstances, all of your relationships will then be in flow and in prosperity. So I know of no better vantage point to operate from in medicine as a physician than this one that I found to be the most powerful way to leverage health, to activate health, to help the body restore and heal itself. So welcome to MindBody TV. I'm so glad to have you here. Today I'm going to be talking about, are you living in overwhelm because you're trying to function in somebody else's reality, or like the old reality that's not even true for you? And I think like most people are in some level of overwhelm right now, almost all the time. And it can seem like the norm, like, I'm so busy. Oh God, I'm so busy too. And like, oh, everyone's busy. I guess we're just supposed to be busy. That's what life's about. But it's a lie, like huge, huge, huge lie. That is not our nature. That is not what's required for us to have success, flow, prosperity in life. It's actually quite the opposite. The more we stay in overwhelm to like manage things, get things done, the more we're just buying into a lie of like how we need to be. And it's totally destructive. So I want to invite you, through what we'll share today, to release overwhelm as a way of managing your reality, right? We go into overwhelm. Let me just get this done. And once we get this tucked away, then I'm going to have some time. But you actually never really go and drop in to wholeness. It's like maybe you get a temporary hold before the next overwhelm. But when you're in overwhelm, right, because life is a reflection of you and what's happening in you, guess what life's going to throw at you? More chaos, more busy, more shit show, like stuff to manage. So how do we break the cycle of overwhelm and actually step into the truth, which is harmony, and begin operating there? So that's what I'm going to get into today. So hello, Lyric from Texas, Nadine, Janelle from Oklahoma City, Jaria from Vancouver, Malva from Sweden, someone in Facebook from Southern California, Annika from Sweden, And Gianna from San Diego, Sadie from UK. We've got Montreal, Denver, Carrie from BC, Canada. Hello, Laura. Tessa. All right, Paige. Feeling overwhelmed by big picture. It's happening on the planet, of what's happening on the planet too, and humanity right now. Yep. Nadine, mine is mostly anxiety. Jaria, you've helped me so much in the last year since I saw you in the Tapping World Summit. You are the missing link toward healing, toward my healing. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Beautiful. All right. Noelita, Jimbo. All right. Someone from Chicago. Jennifer from Michigan. Casey at Miami Beach. Okay. Awesome. Denmark, UK, New Jersey. Thank you also for everybody who's here in Instagram, tuning in there today as well. Okay, so one thing I want, and I think this is like the big take home point for what we're talking about today, whenever you find you're in overwhelm, and for those of you who practice the instant elevation tool and you're actually tuning in, you're changing your brain, you're changing your physiology, you're connecting, you're gonna have more awareness of like, oh, wow, I'm in overwhelm right now, than maybe you did a year ago, where you're like, no, I'm not overwhelmed. I'm good. I'm pulling it all off. And you don't even realize the chaos, the inflammation, the destruction that's happening underneath the surface in your system, right? Because you're like, I'm above it. I'm staying above it. And it's only a matter of time. It's a ticking time bomb. Once you drop in and you're aware, it might at first feel worse, but you just shifted everything by bringing your presence. So you're actually getting better, even though it might feel like, no, now I'm aware of it. Okay, so you're aware. You're like, I am overwhelmed. Acknowledging that first is kind of the first step. Begin to feel, what do I feel in my body? This is a huge, huge key, because when you get familiar with, oh, I'm overwhelmed, I'm breathing up here, I'm not even breathing down into my lower lung at all. Oh, I'm overwhelmed, my shoulders are up here. Oh, what if I just turn that off? Oh, I'm overwhelmed, I'm having these thoughts. It's not okay. I've got to do more. I'm overwhelmed. I'm paying attention to what's outside me. What do I got to do next? What do they need? What's happening there? Okay, what about my list? Wow, I'm hardly any energy is going into what's inside me. So you're just noting, oh, this is what it's like. This is where I'm at. This is what the physical embodiment of overwhelm is. So you might actually let yourself feel some physical sensations that maybe you were bumping out before. Okay, here's what I'm feeling. Tension in my chest, heaviness on my shoulders, fluttering in my belly. I don't know, maybe you could list some here if you're aware of like what those sensations are. As soon as we tune in physically, we shift the part of our brain that's activated. Noticing, observing, curiosity. Oh, I've got this tension in my neck. Oh, I've got a heaviness on my chest, is a very different brain state from, I got to keep going. I got to do it. Oh, I just got one more thing. Let me just keep pushing it. Night and day. So take a breath. Overwhelm is always, always, always an indication from your emotional system that you are buying into a truth that is not yours. Meaning, I just got to do more. Or if I just get this done, it will be better. Or, oh, I can't let go. Everything will fall apart. And those are kind of the thoughts and beliefs. But if your system is registering like ding, 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 no, this doesn't feel good, it is 100% of the time because those things are not true for you. Meaning it's not actually going to make anything better for you or anyone else. It's not actually going to be okay to continue to go this way. It's not actually what's required of you right now. And the mind will be like, but you don't understand. I really do have to do blah, blah, blah. But I will tell you one thing, your emotional body will not lie. Your emotional body is God. Your emotional body is wisdom, right? I'm not saying like your emotional body is the be all end all. It's your indication of the be all end all. It's your indication of, am I aligning to truth, which is your spiritual wisdom? Am I aligning to the highest possibility, or am I contracting and blocking it out? And overwhelm is always a sign you're operating in a reality that's not yours. When I say reality, it's like, here's what I have to do to make my life work. Here's how I have to be for other people. Here's what's required of me, and I've got to hold it together. And it's a big fat lie. You can't really see what is the truth. What's the alternative until you so take a deep breath and then exhale and let your body relax. So actually take maybe 5 breaths, and this is all in the instant elevation tool. If you have the online course where you really integrate this into your system, or even just doing the I have a video on YouTube for the instant elevation tool. You can look it up. But you basically are going to just embody a new state, right? So you're like, okay, aware, ABC. Aware, I'm aware. I'm in overload right now. How do I get out? Just awareness is the first step, right? Like, my stomach's way up in my diaphragm. My shoulders are way up in my ears. I'm overwhelmed. And you want to just be like, F you. Okay, that's awareness. Great. Take a deep breath. Let everything go. Let your body relax. And you can even like bring the shoulders up and inhale, and then just make a noise. Drop your shoulders. Exhale. You just shifted your physiology. So that's the second step. Now, if you stay there for a few moments and actually breathe, you practice this more and more. Your belly comes out with the inhale. Your belly relaxes back in with the exhale. You're going to deeply shift your hormones, the inflammatory cascade. You change your brain. You change the neurologic signals going to every part of your body. A few more breaths. Let everything go. You have to wait for a little click. If you're more adept energetically, you're going to feel that click. It's like when you blow dry your hair, if you ever blow dry your hair, and then it overheats, the blow dryer it won't go, it won't stay on, it shuts off. And you have to blow, and you get it to cool down, and then you hear a little tick, and now you know your blow dryer will go back on, right? So if you don't wait for that click, you keep turning it on, you're like, it's not working. Gotta let it cool down. Same thing with your energy body. You've got to let that little click happen. So take a few deep breaths, and after the first breath, you want to move to C, right? ABC, like now I'm going to make a conscious choice and change all this stuff. Got to get back control. No, you have to stay in B, awareness, breathing, conscious choice. You have to stay in B until the shift happens. And then when you first start practicing, you're like, I don't know if a shift happened. 5 to 10 breaths. It's going to be a little longer than what you want, because what you want is to jump back in and urgently fix the problem. But what I'm telling you is the problem is the urgency, and that urgency is creating the chaos. So you breathe, you let go. Try this now. Breathe with me. And you may feel a shift physically, like, just felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. And granted, nothing in the external may have changed, but allowing that internal is the most essential point. The shift you may feel is, my breath just opened up. I'm breathing all the way down to my belly. I can feel my belly moving with my breath. This shift may be, oh my God, I didn't even realize I don't have to do it that way. And you have an idea. It could be subtle. It could be epiphany. It could be big. Let yourself recalibrate, because this is the most important thing. It's like if life is the movie screen and you're in the projector, it's really about what's in the projector. And you could be out there trying to fix the movie screen all day long. You've got to get in the projector room, and you've got to let something new load up. That's this recalibration moment. Okay, so you got to breathe, let everything go. Okay, and then C could be as simple as, what's actually possible that I'm not considering? What's actually possible here? Or is it even true I need to do it this way? What's actually true? You have to have a pause. And the more you practice this, the more that pause is like, it's right there. But at the beginning, you're like, yeah, 10 whole breaths pause, 1 whole minute pause. Like, do it because it's going to recalibrate your whole system, the whole projector. You're letting the projector open up. So you get the old film out and you put something else in, something else goes in. But until you allow that recalibration, you don't have access to open up to the depth of where these programs are running. Because I'm telling you, the program of you need to keep going, you need to get ahead, you need to try harder can be a really strong program. It can be like universal, where you're like, what is she talking about? That's the only program I know. That's the only reality I know. So I've had a lot of people in my life in the last week really have this going on where they're bought into this idea of, but I have to do this. But if I don't do this, then blah, 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 blah. And one of them started with someone really, really dear to me. And she was just carrying everybody's stuff. And well, but if I have to do this and have to do that. And it was like, what if none of that has to be done? And ultimately, what was required was to let go of any attachment to the outcome. Now, that can be a big ask. That can be really hard to do when the attachment is this person I love could die, right? Or the attachment is, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And you think like, I got to make sure I overwhelm myself to make this happen. But what I'm telling you is it will never actually create what you want. It can't ever create prosperity. No matter how much you stay in chaos and overwhelmed to try to make something happen, it can't create true prosperity. And it can't really allow something that isn't meant to happen anyway. And so the difference is, and this was such a great quote from someone I love, my friend Dixie. She said to me yesterday, she said something like, when we're living off of adrenaline instead of living off of life force. And I was like, that clicks it all in, because it's not that once you surrender the adrenaline, overwhelm, chaos of doing, that you don't do anything. It's not that once you turn off, recalibrate, and come to stillness, that shit doesn't get done. It doesn't mean you're in inaction. It means you've shifted into receptivity. So now you're plugged into life force, authentic energy, and it will move you into a very different action. And it will move you into action that restores and replenishes you as you do things and create. Complete polar opposite of adrenaline, which depletes you as you do and go and create. And the thing that's the most different is like what gets created is like more drama, more ego, more stuff, more chaos versus more bliss, more abundance, more wholeness, more joy. And so when you're in overwhelm, this is my main point of the whole thing. When you notice I'm overwhelmed, take a few breaths, connect with what you're actually sensing and feeling. Allow even 2% of recalibration, like a little more restoration of a relaxation response. It's okay if I let this go. What if it's okay? What if it's okay to let this go? What if I don't have to try so hard, work so hard, and be so attached and control? What if when I do so, I actually enter an energy, a life force that restores me and has me do the thing that will really create prosperity? Because it will be very different from what the program says you have to do. And, I just got off this amazing private session with a client. I have just a few people I see privately. And the whole thing was around like letting go of that whole reality that requires me to run and requires me to be overwhelmed, and requires me to hold it together and requires me to do more. What if the whole reality is what's falling away? And that when I enter wholeness, which is just I'm connected with what I'm sensing and feeling, something else happens. Because that's what will really create prosperity in your life. Okay. Oh, Cindy Lou, wow, so true. Robin Evans, inspired action. Thanks, you guys. Letting go, letting God. Yes. Would have been good advice for someone wrote, it would have been good advice for Will. It's for all of us. And, when we look at what Will Smith did, we can relate to a moment like that where anger comes up or vengeance or who knows what, because there's a lot more to someone's internal reality than what you see from the outside. But it's a great little reminder of like, where am I reacting in life instead of living in calibration? So I'm responding. Because you could probably think of 100 things that could have been said in that moment. Hindsight's always so much, sharper. That could have probably created what he really needed in that moment, which maybe what he needed was some kind of respect or, there's pain there. If someone's going through a health problem and you feel like this is the person I love, there's pain. And so we can go about our pain to give someone else pain and stop the thing and turn it off and F you. Or we can go about that like, whoa, that actually was a pretty heavy hit. That didn't feel good. Can we do a little do-over here? I mean, there's a million things that could have been a different response, and we can't really judge. I think the only thing for me to do is look at where do I react in my life? Because I can see clearly on the big screen that is not going to create peace and prosperity for me or anyone else. So I think he gave us a great example of how reactivity creates more chaos and creates more of what we don't want and creates more divisiveness and creates more war. But it's up to me as an individual to look inside myself and say, where in my moment, my Will Smith moment, my punch someone out, F you, fight against them moment, could I make a different choice? And that, I shared a few weeks ago about all the stuff that came up with my husband when I was like surrendering the ego. And that's what came up was like, how can he say this about me? And like wanting to protect and wanting to defend and like, no, you're wrong. And I didn't do any of those things. And the reason I didn't do them was because I had made a conscious intention to live in greater wholeness. Like, great, I could live in the level of wholeness I'm already in and probably do pretty good the rest of my life. But when I tune in deep, deep down, it's not enough. We're always going to want more of what we truly are. We're always going to want more wholeness and love and truth. And so, yeah, I asked for more. I want to live even more freely and even more in authenticity and even more in my truth. And so it was like that very night, all the shit hit the fan in this exercise. I talked about it before, but then I do with my husband, where it's a very intimate connection of like eyes on eyes, sharing our truth, really connecting in a specific way. In fact, I added that. We did an example of it, and it's in my Alive Woman online course that will walk you through that exact intimacy exercise. I think for anyone, even if you're not in a relationship like that, but you want to have, go deeper into yourself, and you could do it with a friend, but certainly in a freaking partnership. Like, you don't want to leave anything on the table because it just mucks up the space between you. And now you're living more in your reactivity. It's gonna keep overwhelming you to hold that. Because everything that has you protect, defend, I'm going to uphold my ego thing is energy that doesn't go into health, healing, wealth, prosperity, and love. Like, that's creative energy that's meant to manifest your life. And so every little bit of it that goes into suppression, controlling, maintaining overwhelm is energy that's not available for health, prosperity, manifesting your heart's desires. And so I think it's the wisest thing we do, but it brought up everything really intensely. I do want to mention we have a free webinar tomorrow. This work with really activating your true aliveness, I think, is the most powerful work we can do, right? Where we release what we're holding together, what's creating suppression in us, but it's protecting us from the bad thing we don't want to meet, right? Like we really think we're threatened. So we put so much energy into controlling. Once we unleash that, it's like sky's the limit. You can create, your system creates everything, anything beyond your wildest dreams. And so in the work I've done with women, specifically in Alive Woman, which is my online course, and in the Alive Women retreat, there's one coming up in May, we unleash that. And you are held in such a powerful space of love and compassion that it's, it's easy. It's effortless. You find the courage, you find the strength. You allow something to happen that could never have happened otherwise. And so we'll be going into this work and really like the 3 myths that keep us in suppression and overwhelm in this free webinar tomorrow. So the webinar link is at drkimd.com/webinar if you have not yet registered. And I'll put the link here. And we'll get a little bit more today of what we can do to buy out of the delusion of overwhelm. But if you want to go deeper in the webinar tomorrow, and if you're ready for the Alive Woman online course or retreat, those links, I'll just share those links. It's at drkimd.com/alive. We have a few people already registered, and I'm super excited about the May retreat. But you can get more information on the page. So what happens when we go into overwhelm is like kind of the other thing is we don't see the possibilities that are available. So we think, but I have to do this, but I can't let go, but otherwise it will be blah, blah, blah. But we're only seeing through like a little tiny little keyhole of what our mind and our program is telling us is the reality. But it's like, what if this isn't even my reality? What if I can operate in a space of authenticity, freedom? I am taken care of. I am provided for. And that every time I let go of the guards and the protections that are helping me out in the old reality, because in the old reality, it's like every man for himself, scarcity, there's not enough, I have to get ahead. In the old reality, I need that shit. I need to hold that. But if it's like, wait, erase the chalkboard of the whole thing and everything you think is true. What if in the true reality that is already here, I can live surrendered? I can relax my body and actually things work out better for me as a result because it's true. And in the webinar tomorrow, I'll get into like the electromagnetics of that, the science of that, like what is your energy body and how is it creating that prosperity when you let go? Because really, can I really trust that? Yeah, in the old reality, and it's not even that that was true, but when we live it as if that is true, that's what gets created. Limitation, lack. Oh, I dropped the ball and I did lose and everything went to hell. And you're telling me it's not real? Yeah, your mind makes it real. What you believe is what you create. What's in your system as true is going to be created in your reality as true, but it's like true with a lowercase t. It's not actually the truth. So practice this for yourself. Like every time you find you're in overwhelm and you're having a Will Smith moment, take a breath. And it's not that just cower down and don't say anything and don't do anything is the better thing. No, that's not true either. Those are two sides of the same coin, right? Reactive, punch the guy out versus like sit back passively and take shit. No, those are two sides of the same coin in that old reality. Once you do a little bit of recalibration, that little ping goes off. You have a new mind. You have a new system. You're in a new reality. What's possible here? Sometimes a thought comes in, oh my gosh, why don't I just do this? That like never could have occurred to you before. But you have to let the recalibration happen first. Sometimes stuff just gets done for you. Oh, hey, we already took care of that. Don't worry about it. Oh, good. I was in the act of not worrying about it. So that's great. Right? Or like, oh, this thing doesn't matter anymore. And, here's the money or, whatever it is. My husband just had this awesome phone call this morning. And he told me last night when we were doing our exercise, there's this meeting I'm really worried about tomorrow. And I could feel, because we're tuning in, we don't even need the story. You can feel what's coming up in someone's body. You can feel what it's hitting on in him. that he's been carrying that he's like ready to let go of, right? Fears, whatever. And we did the exercise and he released it. And he texted me and was like, my meeting went amazing. So I called him and I'm like, what happened? And he's like, they were asking me for, like, instead of them booting him out of the equation, they're like asking him for assistance. Like, we really want to support what you're doing. How can we do that better? And because he'd shifted it, he was in a different space in his own power. And so it's a whole new reality. It's a whole new conversation. It's a whole new experience. So don't forget, you're creating your reality, but most of what's in your system is unconscious. So you're like, no, I would never create that. And like, don't make it wrong. Oh, you're saying it's my fault I have cancer? No, it's no one's fault because it's not even wrong. It's what's showing up in your life so that you can see what you're holding. Because if you feel, and this is what I invite people to do in the Embracing Health work, when I work with people in groups, feel what that cancer or that pain or that diagnosis is bringing up. Is there fear? Is there hopelessness? Is there anger? Is there powerlessness? Because that's what you bought into, that your system is still carrying, that you've been unaware of. And thank you, cancer, you've made me aware of this thing that now I can let my system release. And guess what freaking happens? No more cancer, no more disease, no more Hashimoto's, no more adrenal fatigue, no more pain in my body, no more, fill in the blank. It's universal. I'm not making it up, right? It's not random. It's directly linked. Because it's a reflection of what's in your system. So what if everything is showing up to guide me home, to guide me back into what's actually going on in here that I wasn't even aware of? I blocked it out. I'm trying to overcome and rise above it. Oh, what if I drop in and remember I have power here? I can allow my system to release all the beliefs and all the pieces that the programs that aren't serving me. So that is my invitation for you today. No need or benefit to blame. Yes, Cody feels light, feels so good and clean, high energy. Some days are so heavenly, and that's where we want to be. When I'm there, I'm in the moment. Well, yeah, I've had a lot of moments where if you ever do Bikram yoga, which is like really, really, really hot, and it's kind of excruciating. And then you hold these poses for a minute and a half. And that minute and a half, you're like, oh my God, how much longer, I'm dying. So I would realize sometimes I'd be in these classes and it'd be like forever. So before I would go, and sometimes it'd be in these classes, it'd be awesome. So what I started to do was before I would go in, I would say, I'm present, I'm in my body. I had an awesome class that was amazing. It went by so fast. It felt incredible. My body feels awesome. So I'd go to the end result and I'd ground into that level of presence. And then when I'd be in the class, I was so in the breath. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, that I wasn't in the mind. How much longer? Oh my God, this hurts. I can't do this anymore. I have to be here for another 50 minutes. Right. I wasn't in that. So my experience was totally different. My experience was freaking bliss. Like I loved going to those classes. This is when I was in residency. And it was like kind of my release from being in a really intense environment at a level 1 trauma center to being in this peace of the serenity of I'm in the now moment. But what it also did is it brought me, how do I be in the now moment, even in the trauma center? How do I be in the now moment? Even I'm intubating this patient. Oh my God, what if it doesn't work? No, I'm intubating this patient. I'm sliding the tube in. I'm connecting with their body. I'm connecting with my body. It's going fluidly. That's a completely different experience, right? I'm running a code. Someone could die. Oh my God, I hope I don't fuck up, right? Versus like, I'm connected in my body. I'm connected with my team. The tube gets handed to me in exactly the right moment. It's exactly the one I wanted. Thank you very much. There's harmony. Someone's keeping time for me. Everything would go fluidly. And the best outcome would be what got created, right? So how do I bring that presence in the Bikram yoga into the trauma center and run a code, right? Like, you got to realize being in the Will Smith reactivity of like, oh, I hope I get this right, is not going to create the scenario and the highest possibility. Being in the I'm present to what I'm feeling and sensing and breathing in and breathing out. And I'll talk about in the webinar tomorrow, one of the greatest myths we buy into that has us in the overwhelm reality is that sensuality is frivolous, right? Sensuality is a superpower. You want to activate a superpower, tune into what you're sensing. And so that would be what would allow me to respond and be in a cohesive connection, communication with everything around me. I feel like I've let go, but nothing is happening. No inspiration, no sense of direction. And this is what I talked about last week. Was it last week with Aaron Apke with the dark night of the soul? It's like, okay, I'm stepping into that stage 1, right? Where my system is recalibrating, but the outer world isn't showing it yet. Stay in the now anyway. It's going to seem like it didn't work. It didn't work. Stay with that. Stay with that fear. Stay with that hopelessness. Not like sit here, do nothing, don't respond. Do not go into reaction. Do not go into overwhelm. Do not go into suppression. Do not try to avoid it. Be with it. Move with it. Because you will, once you move through that dark night of the soul where it's like, nothing even matters anymore. Once I lose motivation, right? Because running on adrenaline is fear, is control. I'm going to get ahead. I'm going to do the thing. Okay, you're going to win at the game, but it's the old reality game. Even if you win, you lose. And so that adrenaline that creates like motivation, right? I got to do the thing. Now I'm motivated. What happens when you switch to operating on life force instead of adrenaline? You lose your motivation, right? I already am one. Geez, I'm not even motivated to do self-help. I'm not motivated to improve anything. Isn't this a bad thing? No, because motivation comes from fear and lack and the illusion that I'm getting ahead, but I didn't actually create any further abundance. Life force connection, moving from inspiration, is very, very different. I already am whole. What I create will create more wholeness. I already am whole. Every action I take from wholeness will always create more abundance. It's not that there's inaction. It's not that I don't do stuff. Just don't do that stuff. So yes, you will find this sort of black hole in the middle where it's like, but I'm not motivated. Won't that be bad? No, you've got to connect with life force because you will be moved from inspiration night and day. It makes my day to see great. It makes your day to see the people that you like. Oh boy. The old dog eat dog is no longer working, if ever it really was. Yeah, it never actually created prosperity. We think it worked. Get me safe. It got me ahead. Did it actually create prosperity? And this is important when I'm working with people individually to actually get there, to see like, yeah, those are the good old days when I was totally naive and not awakened or empathic. Oh yeah, you were clueless, but was it actually better? You have to start to see like the world is in pain. Your body is screaming. Just because you didn't hear it doesn't mean it wasn't there. Learning to give myself grace when I catch myself reacting to things, instead breathing, responding, and to what is moving forward. Can we have compassion for Will Smith? I mean, I can. For both of them, right? Sometimes I say something that's just so stupid. And you're like, geez, can we have space for that in this reality? We're going to say things that are stupid and that are thoughtless and that hurt somebody's feelings. And we're going to react and do things that don't really create what we want. Can we forgive ourselves? And can we let that be a lesson of like, with compassion, I know what it's like when I'm so freaking triggered. I don't even have a choice but to react, right? The reaction is just happening. But I set my intention to love that moment of awareness so that there's more love in my system, to accept that moment of just how it played out so that there's more acceptance in my system. Now, next time I'm that triggered, because there's more compassion in my system, I do have a choice. My whole family has COVID. I'm trying not to panic while staying relaxed. Yep. Can you let yourself move through this experience? First, my experience of being scared for my family, right? Okay, there's fear. Is it okay to have fear? Is it okay to breathe fear? You got to start there. And then it's like, oh, my family's going to have an unwanted experience that I don't think they should have, and they're suffering and it's not okay. Can I just let them have this experience? You're going to feel your yes. All right. I will see you tomorrow for the webinar. It's free. It's at drkimd.com/webinar. And I'll touch on those 3 myths. It's mostly for, women, but it's really like our feminine aspect, our omega, our sensitivity, our expression. Everyone has alpha and omega. So it's like men, women, everyone's invited to the webinar. The Alive Woman course is actually for women. The Alive Women retreat is for women. I've designed it that way for a reason. But for the webinar tomorrow, I think men would really receive immensely, especially if there are women in your life, which is kind of universal that there's women in your world somewhere, to have more of a awareness of your own alpha and omega energies, and to be in greater harmony with how to play through those, how to express through this, how to stay alive instead of shutting down. So I would love to see you there for the webinar tomorrow. It's at drkimd.com/webinar. And we will activate your aliveness in deeper and deeper ways. Thank you guys for being here. I'm at drkimd.com. I'm here live every week for MindBody TV at 11 a.m. Mountain Time in the MindBody community in Facebook and in my YouTube channel, Dr. Kim D. So be sure to subscribe if this work resonates with you, and hit the like button, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I get all the comments, and I'll not necessarily respond to everyone, but I will see those comments and I appreciate them greatly. And you can hit the bell in YouTube so that you are alerted when I come live, when I've posted a video, and stay connected there. If you're in Facebook, we will see you in the MindBody community. I have amazing, beautiful mentors and coaches who are all of them walking their own journey of aliveness and awakening and connection and compassion. And they are an amazing assistance for everyone who's doing this work. So I look forward to seeing you there. I did mention the instant elevation. If you want to look up just to practice, right? Awareness, hi body, here I am, breathing, shift, recalibration, conscious choice, ABC. Bring this into your life, bring this into your moment. It changes who you are, changes your cells, it changes your DNA, it changes your brain. Every part of us, you guys, right now is upgrading to the new human, to the true human, to live in wisdom and live off of life force instead of running off of adrenaline and, living in fear. So with all of my love and compassion, thank you for being here. And I'll see you next week or tomorrow. Bye.